just amazing panels that we have. I've been so excited about all of ours, but this has been one of the ones I've been the most excited about for the entire scheduling and programming of our panels at the 11th Hour Lodge. If you have been to one of our panels before, then you've probably heard a little bit of a similar intro, but if you haven't, then I just want to let everyone know that we really focus on trying to put out really actionable, really tangible, real-world advice and real-world case studies and real-world numbers and just how things really work out, so that you can actually walk out of each of these panels with an idea of not just how am I going to rethink my career over the next 5 to 10 years, which is useful, but how am I going to walk out of here and make some decisions and make some changes today that are going to improve my projects, that are going to make a difference in the way that I'm thinking about this industry and specifically my work within it. So to the right of me, I have, just a stacked group of panelists. I have Crystine Zhang, who has not one, not two, but 3 films in competition here that she's a producer. That's just insane. And I'll give each of you guys a second to go through a little bit of an intro of yourself as well, but I would love to do a little bit of an intro of myself here. So she has Josephine, she has Bedford Park, and also Gail Daughtry's Celebrity Sex Pass, which all 3 of which, I mean, I'm sure you guys have too, but I've just heard amazing things about. That's to just one person of this panel is all of that. Then we have Mike McNamara. He is 13 years just with Sundance alone as a programming associate. 30 years of festival consulting experience. I mean, he's the founder of Festie, Bestie, which I know so many people have found so helpful throughout the years. I mean, I'm sure you have a lot more to say, but that's just in and of itself has just helped the community, I think, so much. And then to the right of him, we have Brynne and Tyler, who co-founded Hiike, which has been, I think, one of the hottest new pieces of programming, of tech, of even just a company within the whole indie film space. So without further ado, I think I would love to give you guys each a few seconds just to kind of talk about anything specifically about more tangibly what you're doing right now, and then we'll get straight into the questions. And then, yeah, Crystine, if you want to start.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. This is a great intro. My name is Crystine Zhang, founder and producer of Oval 5, which is my company. I started to be independent producer, financier in 2021. Before that, I was working for a Chinese studio in Hollywood, and we acquired and co-finance Hollywood films. And so I've been in the industry for about 12, 13 years, and I feel really honored to have 3 films at Sundance. And when we submitted 3 months in October, we got an extended deadline. So all 3 films were submitted. I said, oh, it would be nice to have 1 film in the last Sundance. And so I remember in November, within 36 hours, I heard all 3. Wow. Next day, my husband went to buy a lottery ticket. I love that. That's amazing. Of course, we didn't win because I took all the good luck. But anyway, I'm really excited to be here this whole weekend. And so great to meet you all. Thank you.
And I just want to point out here too, that the level of experience that just is, I think, going to come from this conversation without even realizing, because just that little kernel of we got the extended deadline, the amount of times that I've heard the question, oh, do people actually take the extended deadline seriously, was just answered, and she wasn't even trying to.
Yeah.
So, I just...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great lead-in for me, because my name's Mike, and I recently started a platform called Festie Bestie that's all about helping my fellow filmmakers navigate the festival circuit. I've helped around 30 films as a film festival strategist. I've worked with Sundance as a programming associate for narrative features for the last 13 years. And over the years, I've just found out we all have the same questions.
Right.
There was one week, I had 3 Zoom calls with 3 different filmmakers, and at the end of it, I was like, I feel like I just had the same phone call like 3 different times. So maybe I can do something. So I started Festie Bestie on Patreon, and I just put up 3-minute videos every week that kind of walk you through these types of questions. One of them which I answer, which is there an advantage to submitting early deadline versus late deadline versus should you even consider extended deadline? And in that one, I'm not answering it. I'm asking festival programmers of Oscar qualifying film festivals that question, because I've worked with all of them, and they're answering it bluntly. I'm asking them, do you read cover letters? Do you open cold emails? Is it worth cold and we're laying all that out. Because right now, we're trying to figure that out as filmmakers just by like asking each other and going on Reddit, and that subthread is awesome, right? But you're like, right. I'm Googling, I'm just talking to people, It's so, for me with Festie Bestie on Patreon, it's about like, how do we like get this down to like nuts and bolts, taking action, and so that's what it's about with me. So.
Amazing, and I feel like we actually have such a similar mission. But I'm Brynne Norquist. I am the co-founder of Hiike, and Hiike is a new festival research and submission platform. So we help connect films to the right film festivals. We're focused on the real, active, in-person festivals in the US right now, and we have a matching quiz. So filmmakers can come to our platform, put in the specifics about themselves, their films, and they actually get recommended to the right festivals. So answering a lot of those questions as well is so in tandem. I think that educational aspect is necessary. And I'm so excited to chat more with you today on the panel about Festie Bestie and figuring out how we can work together as well.
I love it. Great.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Tyler Knohl. I'm also the co-founder of Hiike, and Brynne kind of just laid out everything that we do, but I just want to say we always talk about how important in-person events are and how important going to festivals are. And I want to start just with this quote I heard the other day that investing in storytelling is the epitome of everything. And I think that's what everyone on this panel is really trying to do and what we're trying to give everyone in the audience. So we're really excited to be here.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to get straight into the questions, which I'm really excited about. So to even just frame this further, I know you guys all saw it on the actual listing of the event, but even just the title of this is called The Human Connection, Physical Festivals.
Right.
So there's a lot of great stuff happening also with online and Zoom festivals as well, not knocking any of that, but today we're just talking about the physical ones. So with that being said, the first question is, in a digital world, every industry is seeing increased ROI from physical activations. We can take meetings from anywhere, yet thousands of us still travel to snowy mountains or coastal towns for festivals. How do you think this value translates to festivals, given the statistics of how sales at festivals have been quite a bit lower in the past few years? So if there's anyone who wants to, I think we'll keep this pretty open forum. Like I don't want to go just this. Let's just go for it. Whoever wants to jump in.
So I personally like in-person meetings, and I of course pandemic didn't give us a choice, but I remember 2022 I already went to Cannes, not many people there, but I went, and also in 2022 I had my first movie in TIFF called Prisoner's Daughter. Some people still wear masks, I remember, but most of us, we just forget about it, don't do my makeup. And but I remember that excitement in 2022 when people were in the theater watching the film, people were crying, laughing, and that shared emotion is why we love cinemas. And I think in-person film festival is very important because it's for filmmakers. We meet partners, filmmaker peers, we talk about exchange ideas, talk about markets, and also we can meet with buyers, future buyers, talking about what they are looking for, and I think it's super helpful. And those conversations really could not happen in a 40 minutes Zoom call, because in a Zoom call it's a very point to point. There's no how are you, and it's I think. In-person film festival is my preference, and cinema is also what I'm striving for.
And also to your point, only people that are invited to the Zoom call can be in the Zoom call, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point, right? So I'm seeing friends in the audience right now that we've emailed back and forth in the last 10 years, but we haven't talked in person in all that time. And I have two folks from Chicago that I just met here that know all the same folks. I just hosted an event down the street, and asked Peter Kuplowski to come by. He's the midnight programmer for TIFF, and as soon as he came by, I saw my friend Kelly, who I knew had a midnight feature that she's in post on, so I introduced the two of them, and they chatted. I mean, none of this happens anywhere else. Zoom doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's just a couple people on a phone call. I mean, this is 70,000 people that all come together. That's why film festivals work, and we all leave inspired more than anything. You know, I've had a lot of friends that are like, I'm only coming to Sundance if I have a film in the festival,
Oh,
damn
gosh.
it. And that's the, and I'm like, okay, I feel you, but 90% of the people here do not have a film in the festival, right? Do you know what I mean? Okay, Crystine, we know you got like 12. But the point is, we're all here with projects. Exactly.
Yeah.
We're all, and I'm sure you've attended here before without a film, you know, because
Yes.
you're looking to get ones made. That's what it's about. That's what makes festivals work. And not just the big ones like this that has 70,000 people. Lighthouse International in New Jersey that you have 3,000 people at, or Chicago Underground Film Festival with
Love
our
that.
good friend Brian, which has maybe 5,000 people at it. I mean, these festivals all over the country, that's really the lifeblood of the film community.
Yeah, I'd love to add on to that statistic. Carrie Putnam, the former executive director of Sundance, she did a study around a year and a half ago with Harvard, and it was about the US independent film market. And shout out to, I don't know if our friends from Film Festival Alliance are in the crowd, but Barbara Twist and Gray, they worked directly with Carrie and found that annually there's 6.6 million people attending
Wow.
US film festivals. And I think that we have to recognize that as cultural impact. But going back to the question, you mentioned decrease in programming sizes or challenges that have been happening.
And specifically sales.
Right.
Yeah.
I did want to chime in on that. I think that sponsors and grants at film festivals have been decreasing pretty rapidly in recent years, and it's a huge belief of ours to be investing in festivals and making sure that we can help them create these legacy events and not have to continually shrink programming sizes, because everything that you guys have said about the value of in-person festivals, it can only be done with capital. So yeah, I'll get into that more later, but we have a sponsor database and we help connect festivals to sponsors as well.
I love that. Sorry.
No.
Did you want to add to
No,
that?
keep going.
No. Okay. So.
I do want to add one thing.
Yeah.
It's as 3 films in TIFF, and then after TIFF, we land buyers. We secure buyers after the festival. I think it's important because all buyers go to these festivals. They want to see the audience response, and then they make their decision. So that's another reason.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you know, there's the press around who actually gets a sale at the festival. And what's really funny is, I think when you're on the outside of that and you're reading that press, it reads as whatever it is that the narrative has been shaped as. But when you start talking to some of those people, like TIFF, I know was like kind of a record low for sales for certain things. And if you talk to some of the filmmakers that actually were, was it 6 or 8 or something like that actually made a sale, some of those sales didn't even go through because of the actual terms. And so, and then some of the other sales that weren't talked about because they were outside of the festival, but they happened because of the actual activation, don't get talked about until you're actually talking to a filmmaker who has gone through it. And so, also, just shout out to the Carrie Putnam
That's the best
that research.
study ever.
That study is so good.
Everyone needs to read it, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And Eventive's white paper.
Yeah. So the next question with this, when I want to add, I really do love the whole aspect of brands and sponsors. Our literal next panel is about how brands are getting involved.
It's the future, it's really the future.
Yeah, and that statistic of in-person activation is across the board, by the way, for all industries, because as we're in a digital age, we place much more weight on physical interactions. It is the same kind of social weight that has caused a lot more social anxiety through the past few years, and it also is the same that gives us more empathy and more connection to actually value these circumstances. So the second question that I think this leads into well is, you've all witnessed an insane level of festival acceptances and wins. From your perspective, what do you see as the starting point for a meaningful festival application strategy?
Can I go ahead and answer this? Because Brynne and I actually had a really long conversation about this today, and I know you can definitely speak to it because you have a little bit more experience than us. But the first thing we talk to our filmmakers about is, what is your goal? How are you going to determine a system or a festival circuit without actually identifying your goal? And when we consult, which is not that often, but we do it sometimes, a lot of filmmakers don't even know what the goal is. And we end the conversation with, did you ever figure out your goal? And a lot of them say yes. They look at us, they're like, oh, I didn't even think that that was the route that I really wanted to take. So we always implore people to sit down, take a notebook out, and start reading about your goals and figuring out what your main opportunity is. And I just want to say one more thing before I pass it off to you, but batching your festival circuits, like how you want to actually submit. So if you want to do the Big Six, why are you trying to go to the Big Six? Which Big Six or Big Seven, whatever, identified with you the most? And if you have a cover letter or whatever, EPK, whatever it may be, maybe personalizing it to that.
Yeah, adding on, I think that in terms of figuring out goals, it's about what's the festival identity. I think that's where a lot of filmmakers question at the beginning. They don't know exactly specific programming identities. So that's something that we're trying to solve through our tech. But figuring out where does your film fit within specific programming, and then going from a macro level of, hey, which ones have premiere requirements, and figuring out the actuals. You never want to be in a situation where you've applied to a film festival and you're waiting on an acceptance from another one, and you've gotten selected and you're like, hey, I'm actually waiting to hear back from another programmer, so I can't I can't play your festival. You know,
but that happens, that's
yeah.
okay.
It does happen, and it is okay.
Yeah.
But I think that there should be a little bit more education there.
Oh, right, for sure. When that happens, we freak out, right, as filmmakers, then we just freak out and we think we're messing things up. I will tell you, programmers understand that that's part of the game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think we don't realize as much that programmers understand, hey, I'm gonna ask for the world premiere of this film. There might be other people that are also asking for the world premiere. So, but, did you have, I didn't mean to
No, I'm
jump
glad
in.
they jumped in. I think I was more speaking from like a earlier filmmaker
right.
perspective.
For sure.
You know, through those cold submissions, which I
Yes.
think that a lot of us are going through. So yeah, I think it's super important to understand identities of festivals.
And that's a great point with premiere requirements, because there are, some films have very little premiere requirements. Sundance actually has very little premiere requirements. Your film can be on YouTube right now and you can submit it to Sundance. And there's actually been jury winners that they were on YouTube and they submitted to Sundance. So, but at the same time, I'm not sure that Tribeca wants your film if they're gonna be your 22nd festival that you've been to. Do you know what I mean? So you kind of want to weigh out, is it worth the money or not?
So with that,
Yeah.
specifically with Sundance and outside of it,
Mhm.
do you think that that is a bit of a bargaining chip that you can offer though, to say this is my world premiere that I'm giving you, or is it just a wash, or do you think it's different from festival to festival? I know I've gotten that question before.
For sure, premiere status is a bargaining chip, for sure. And it doesn't just have to be the world premiere, it could be the Chicago premiere, it could be your Texas premiere, it could be your, and I think if you're reaching out to festivals, when you're reaching out to film festivals, I think you should email them after you submit your film. Okay, I just submitted to the Chicago International Film Festival. Hi Mimi, or Anthony, or if you need to reach out to those folks, I know them all very well, I love them dearly. Oh hey, we'd be honored to be a part of your fest, we'd be honored to have our Chicago premiere at your fest. I think it's good to mention that, or we'd be honored to have our world premiere at your festival.
We always tell filmmakers the same.
Also, in regard to physical activations and things, physical things going on right now is we have some more people trying to pack in for this really amazing conversation. If you guys want to come, there's actually a few seats towards the front.
So you want to zero in a little more on on putting together a festival strategy?
Yeah, I think where's a starting point for you?
So I'll go briefly, because I want to make sure but I'm just going to give you, so for Festie, this Patreon that I put up, and it's kind of the heart of when I'm helping someone put together their festival strategy, there's 5 questions. I'm going to just kind of hit a couple of them real quick. One of the 5 is, what is the goal of your festival run? It sounds simple, right? Because you're like,
It's not.
well, I want to go to festivals, man. I want to just be at festivals. No, that's it. I've talked to folks that are like, I want to get an agent. out of my festival run.
Exactly.
Do you want more?
I want to
Yeah.
finance my feature out of my festival run. Okay, cool. Well, that narrows it down to like 5 festivals on Earth that are good. Do you know what I mean? So, or if it's, I want to share my film with as many people as possible because this story means a lot to me, and I want to go from city to city and town. Those are dramatically different approaches. Do you know what I'm saying? Dramatically different. So, what is your goal? What is your budget? What is your budget for your festival run? Submitting and also attending. What is your budget?
Yep.
We don't want to just start submitting to festivals and then be like, I'll just see how it goes. I submitted to like the top 25 festivals and I'm going to see how it goes. I had a friend, David. I'm like, what was your budget for your festival? And he goes, for festival submissions, he goes around $1,800. I'm like, cool, man, that sounds pretty good. How much do you have left? None, man. Like, what happened? He goes, well, I Googled top 25 festivals. I submitted to those 25. I figured I'd get into one of them. I didn't get into any of them, and now I'm screwed. His film was really good, but the problem was he only swung for the festivals that have a 1 to 3% acceptance rate. Do you see what I'm saying? So he also needed to submit to Poppy Jasper in California,
Yeah,
or, you know what I mean, or Orlando or Sunscreen Film Festival in Tampa, Florida. You need to go for some of those regionals.
Yes.
We can swing here, we also swing here, and we swing here. It's not saying better or worse. Do you know what I'm saying? So, what's your budget? How long do you want your festival run to go? Nobody thinks of this.
It's very true.
Let's say you just started submitting your film today. At this time next year, do you still want to be submitting to film festivals? You might say, yeah, sure. I'll talk to other people, they'll be like, hell no, dude, I want to be on like my 3rd film. I want to be like shooting my feature by then. Okay, great. Well, then if by this time next year you want to be wrapped on your festival run for that particular film, you need to be submitting heavily in those. We can't just submit to 4 or 5 top fests and wait. The last question, I'll say this is the hardest one, and I do want to pass it on. And I go into these in depth on my Bestie Patreon, but it's, and this is a tough one. How good is your film? This is the hardest question of all of them. It doesn't mean, do you stand by your film? Do you know what I'm saying? It's just, because some people, they make a film and they're like, yeah, we shot it in a long weekend. Or some people make a film and they're like, well, we just kind of shot it because this is kind of like an intro to the feature. And other people shoot it and they're like, this is the story of my mother coming here from Southeast Asia, and this story means everything to me. This is the greatest film I have ever made. Well, your approach is completely different.
Yeah.
And you can have an outstanding festival run on each of those, but if it's not the best film you've ever made, if it's not an A+ film, I hate to put grades on it, but you know what I'm saying, well then we don't want to be swinging, then why are we only submitting to these? Do you know what I'm saying? If you're like, this is a pretty solid film, but it's not the best film I'm ever going to make, no problem. You can have an awesome run with that film, but then we want to approach some other festivals, like regional festivals that have higher acceptance rates. I hope some of that makes sense, but the point is we have to be specific and we have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to answer those questions. You can still believe in your film and be like, if there's 200 films and you're taking one of them, it's probably not going to be my film this time around because, the sound's off in a couple, and you know what, it's about 6 minutes too long, and I cast my friend in the 3rd lead, and he's a good dude, but he kind of, do you know what I'm saying? You can still have a great run. So real. So I'll turn it back over, but I hope that helps a little bit. It's just about specificity.
I think there's 2 things that I love about that perspective on that, of just being really, really honest with yourself. Because I think people want multiple things at once that are actually very, very contradictory more often than not. Because we look at these films and we see a poster that is just covered in laurels. Yeah. It's got 30 laurels on it. You've got what, a big 7? If you look down in those laurels are the ones that a lot of people want to have covered in laurels. A lot of them are the tiny ones. And that's just the way it is. If you want to have something that is so decorated, you're going to start reaching into the nooks and crannies then. It's just the facts of it. And on top of that, I think that the question or the statement of the length of your festival run is one that I never hear people talk about, but I hear people talk a lot about, like the success of, at least in regards of Sundance, of even like Napoleon Dynamite as a case study, which a lot of people don't realize had almost a 2-year festival run, and they were going after that. I've heard the director of that speak out about it actually almost hurt him in certain aspects because he had to turn down other films that he was possibly going to direct because he was taking so long with the festival run that he had contractually signed on to. And I mean, you know, whether that's here or there, it's just, I think you do have to think about it from the very beginning.
I think Steven said it all. I think I'm learning. Thank you.
Right. And you will have a different path. Once your film gets into Sundance, your festival path is a little easier, right? Because then people are reaching out to you saying, hey, we're interested in it. But just because your film doesn't get into Sundance, that's okay. There's many other, you're going to have a great run. It's just, the last thing I'll say, there was a short that I worked with as film festival strategist, and it was a 10-minute film, and they came to me one day and they were like, well, we have to recut the film. I go, what are you talking about? It's in great shape. What's going on? They go, well, we didn't get into Sundance, we didn't get into South by, Cannes, or Tribeca, so clearly there's something wrong with our film. I'm like, nobody's getting, like, many people don't get into those four. It's okay, we don't have to recut anything. It's fine that you took those swings, but that can't be your validation of yourself as a filmmaker. Do you know what I'm saying? So, and we went, so we chilled out. Sometimes as film festival strategist, you become a therapist. I had a call with someone last week, and they're like, you're like my therapist. Like, where she's crying, I'm crying. You know, she cared a lot about this film, and I was like, you're fine. We went on to have a 30 festival run and won several of them and wound up premiering at Bentonville, which is a wonderful festival in the Southeast, wonderful fest. But the filmmaker hadn't heard of it. I had to remind them that we got accepted at Bentonville. I was like, did you guys get an email from Bentonville? They're like, yeah, is that one to go? Is that like,
and you're like, yeah, it's actually Oscar qualified.
Right, hey, can you reply to that email, guy? All right, my man. So I just want you to know, and I'm only saying this because I know we've all had this feeling. They're like, my film, oh, I gotta recut my film. Clearly my film's not good. I didn't get into these top 5 festivals. Well, no, that's not true. You can have a great run.
Yeah. I want to add on to what you had said earlier about looking at a poster and just seeing tons of laurels on those posters. I actually think that sometimes that can be detrimental to films.
Yes.
Because when you are spraying and praying and submitting to as many festivals as possible and hoping that you can get in, sometimes some of those festivals, just given the nature of the landscape that we're in, are not legitimate festivals. And that's why I'm super blessed to be on this panel today where we are talking about the in-person festivals that are heavily investing in filmmakers, because when you are collecting those 30 laurels that are actually contributing and delivering to filmmakers, that looks good on your poster, not just as many laurels as possible.
I do want to add just one thing, and I know we mentioned us having like a matching quiz. All of the festivals that we've reviewed are real and active running festivals, and we're trying to help filmmakers find other alternatives to the festivals that they really want to be at, because there are, how many Oscar qualifying? I can't remember the number.
Oh, in the US it's around 80.
80 Oscar qualifying.
I'm not sure.
In the
Okay.
US.
80 US Oscar qualifying.
Know what you know and know what you don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
sure. There's a bunch
That's
of
why I
them.
asked my peers.
Yeah.
But yeah, just wanted to say that.
I'm just going to throw this out there to everyone here, because we want to give people actionable stuff. My email for Festie Bestie is heyfestiebestie@gmail. heyfestiebestie@gmail. If there's a festival you're going to spend money submitting to and you are not sure about it, you can email me. My name is Mike. Hey, Festie Bestie. I don't care if you subscribe to my Patreon or not. Just be like, hey, Mike, I saw you at Sundance. I'm about to submit to the this festival. Well, I'll give an example. I'm gonna submit to the Seattle Film Festival. Is that legit? Well, I'd be like, well, it's interesting, bud, because you think you're submitting to the Seattle International Film Festival, which is in its 50th year and is an incredible festival. But you're submitting to the Seattle Film Festival, which I'm not saying is good or bad, but that's actually only been around 5 or 6 years and is a completely different festival.
Yep.
But you spent $70 thinking you were submitting to an Oscar qualifying top 25, it is film festival. But there's another one so that's just an example.
That's exactly it. That's exactly
I
it.
don't want you to spend that money. Or if you say, okay, cool, yeah, I did want to submit to the smaller one because they have a higher acceptance rate, great, I want you to know what you're doing. So you can email me anytime. It's an open door. Hey, festiebestie@gmail. I will get back to you. It clicks my phone, and then I type back to you. So it might take me a few days to get back to you, but I want you all, there's 10,000 film festivals on Film Freeway, which is part of the reason why I think Hiike is getting into the mix. You have enough money to submit to 50 of them.
Yeah.
So how are you gonna pick
That's true.
the 50?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
maybe you even have enough money to submit
Maybe.
some of them. 'cause
The most
yeah,
important thing is we
still-
can't burn our money on 15 of those 50.
Exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All 50 of those have to count.
I want to say, in the US, Film Freeway lists around 4,500 film festivals on their database, and our database is between 11 and 1,200. So it's a much more curated process.
Mm.
If you throw in the internationals, you get to around.
Yeah, I just want to add, like, one of our films were invited by Sundance and also South by. And of course, we chose here, and I think it could also happen when you made these submissions and you got accepted by 2 or 3 different festivals. And I think at that time, you really need to do some research and ask your peers and get some advice from Mike. And I think it's a good problem to have, but you need to carefully think about which is your first one, because the goal is very important. We are very clear about our goal, and we chose that, of course.
Yes.
And also, I think it's another good note to add the whole goals thing into it as well. Some good friends of mine made a film that they were having to decide between a world premiere at Edinburgh or at Venice, but their Venice would have been on the more, I'm forgetting the name of it, but the more artistic, the smaller screen aspect of it is more for the auteur kind of films. And their goal they had to assess was are we going to be looking purely for the artistic accolades, awards, and that kind of aspect, or are we actually looking for international distribution? And their goal was looking for international distribution. So it made more sense in the end for them to actually premiere at Edinburgh that was going to actually be championing them more directly to more international distribution. And that's obviously like a very coveted problem to have. But it does take place at much smaller scales, you know.
Yeah, I have a similar case study for that. Last year, Glenn Rawson is in the news, so it's not secret anymore. So we were invited by TIFF, and also Edinburgh won our movie Glenn Rawson, which we shot in Scotland. It's Brian Cox's love letter to Scotland. So it does make sense to make a premiere in Edinburgh. Edinburgh Film Festival. But after careful consideration, we decided to take it to TIFF, but we did communicate with Edinburgh. We say thank you, but we laid out why we go to TIFF, and they happily screen our film, kind of make a special program afterwards. So I think you can also communicate with the second second film festival and see what other outlet they might give you. So I think there's a way to figure it out.
So the next question that we have here it's a really short one, and I would love to keep it as much of a nugget as you guys can, because I know it's easy to talk a lot about this. If you had to break down into even one or two of the kind of invisible values, and maybe even specific examples of experiences that you guys have had or seen, other filmmakers you consult with and whatnot, but the invisible value that you've had from specifically film festivals. And I think what I mean by that is those relationships. Maybe even an exact example of I was in line at blah, 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 and I ran into this person who complimented me on my shoes, and I ended up getting this. It doesn't have to be personal, but I think those little experiences are useful for people to realize.
Yeah, I'm going to speak on a friend of ours actually just found his writing partner yesterday from being at the festival, and he's been looking for a writing partner for I think 4 or 5 months, and they really aligned on absolutely everything, and they went to the Big Dig. Shout out Heavy Shovel Productions, I don't know if anyone knows it. But they met there, yeah, they're amazing. They met there, and it was a very kismet experience because it was like they were meant to be.
My short tidbit would be attending film festivals can generate you so much traction. I'm going to speak from a perspective of self-distribution right now, there's a very big ploy of everyone's talking about self-distribution. It's not necessarily about getting people out to your screenings at festivals, but being there, connecting with people, getting people to join a mailing list. It can really help you power video on demand or self-distribution beyond the festival circuit.
For me, it's all about community. I'm happiest when I'm trying to build community, and that's actually where Festie Bestie came from, because I've lived in Chicago most of my life, and I would come to Sundance every year, and everyone I would meet at Sundance, a lot of them lived in New York or LA, right? So the only times I would see them would be at Sundance. And so every January I'd come out and we just all started calling each other Festie Besties. We'd like, oh, hey, Festie Bestie, because we knew each other for 5 years, but we only saw each other every January.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So that's what Festie Bestie came from. So we would just keep expanding that. So we are all Festie Besties now. Do you see what I'm saying? And you're gonna make Festie Besties. And you're like, okay, Mike, that's cool that you made friends. It's like, well, no, then they become your collaborators. Right, especially in this day and age, when it's so easy to kind of stay connected. And what are you shooting? Oh yeah, well, we're shooting this thing in Nashville. Well, I can get myself to Nashville, and you know, I can get myself to Nashville in June. What are we talking? All right, let me put something on tape for you. Or you know what? Yeah, I can. My buddy Aaron's an awesome sound guy. He actually just left because he's on a shoot. You know, he's had things where he lives in LA, but he's flying around the country to work all the time. But the people that he works with are his Festie Besties. Yeah. So that's happening here. Okay, it's the guys you went to college with, it's the men and women and everyone that I went to film school with. Yeah, sure, that's important, but your Festie Besties, those festival friendships, really mean something, and that's the true currency, I think, with film festivals, are those Festie Besties.
Yeah, I think film festival is, I think the content become connection, and it's 2 C's, and I experience all the time, I'm sure you too. You walk into a restaurant, have dinner, you probably know 5 tables. Yeah. And as you were leaving the restaurant, you would just talk to each of them, and you don't have to have another meeting. And I think I just love those. And because we are all busy and we all try to have some time with our friends, but sometimes you can't really set meetings, like 1 hour meeting. So it's great to go to these restaurants just to meet some folks and say hello and ask what they're working on. So I think it's really important and valuable.
Yeah, and it's really funny because I think we can all attest to this too. You get home from a festival, and it's a lot of times it's the same friends that say, "Oh, I wish I had a film at Sundance so that I could go," and they're not willing to if they don't have it, which I wish that they would. I've literally just said, like, I'll give you a room, I'll give you a couch in my house. Like, I just want you to be there that badly.
Also, festivals, oftentimes, many of them are like providing filmmaker housing.
Yeah.
Or like, we don't work with them yet, but I'm going to shout out Sedona International Film Festival. They do some really cool programming for their filmmakers. They will provide filmmaker housing so long as you stay the whole week, and you have to go to both of your screenings. So it's really cool because you end up becoming pretty close with the people that are like in your program if you're in a short block. And at the award ceremony, now you have a group of people that are all rooting for each other, and you're all staying together, and you're meeting people, and you're creating connections and all that stuff. So yeah, I think that regardless what it is, getting to a festival and making sure that you're actually there if your film is playing is super cool. And a lot of those filmmaker forward festivals do as much as they can to help the filmmakers get there. You said Poppy Jasper, but they provide filmmaker housing as well, and they also have hotel discounts in the area. So if you want to go and not stay in a house with 30 filmmakers, you can also get cheap hotel rates because they partner with the hotels in the area. And I'm glad that you mentioned them because Maddie's so wonderful, and it is a great festival.
Great folks.
Come in April, you guys.
I love that. I didn't know that about Sedona.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's so cool, and I've heard filmmakers just love them so much. We want to work with you, Sedona.
Honestly, it's funny because I get that comment though about when you get home, it's usually those same people who say that will be like, yeah, you're just like, I saw your Instagram story, it seems like you were just like partying for a week straight, and it's like, oh, well, I mean, like, yeah, it was fun, but it's like, I'm with my Festie Besties, I get to see the people I never get to see for the whole rest of the year.
It can be tough on a relationship because I have stated, woman I was dating, she's like, why don't you ever take me with to the film festivals? You're just there partying around. I'm like, it's a work trip. Like, one, you will not have fun at these. You do not want to go and be in a room of 200 filmmakers having us all like, she's like an accountant. I'm like, you want no part of this. It only looks fun because you're seeing, the Instagram posts where we're like, we're dehydrated, we're freezing.
4 days straight of 3 hours of sleep each.
Right, we haven't slept.
But the other part of that too is like, I can even attest to this. Like we wrapped up here. We had a party here at it closed at 2 a.m. I had to, you as anyone who's working and doing their own things here too. Like you have to take care of your responsibilities and whatnot. And then on top of all that, then you're like, oh, I have to go to this party because there's 3 people I have to absolutely see, because I know that I'm not going to get the conversation with them. And it's not manufactured, it's just I know I have to talk with them. I know I have to make a point of, because of the relationship that I do respect having with them, that I have to respect the time that we've both set out to be here and be in the space. And it's gotten me immense things, even just in this past week, where it's like, oh yeah, all it took was a conversation of just 2 busy people being in the same room. Which I think gets to the next point of this really well. One of the things that I think I hear quite a bit about festivals is from my friends who may not be the most social, the most outgoing, the most, I feel very lucky in a lot of aspects that I do love talking to people, and I can, very often do just end up making friends with people in a coffee line. But a lot of my friends are not necessarily that way, and for those people, I guess, what would you say would be some of the ways that you can a lot of people want to make that step. They want to make the investment of time and, let's face it, money too, of getting to a festival like this or Con or South by or one of these other big ones. But in their mind, they think of it as, well, I can't make this investment because I don't know what's going to come out of it, because I don't know if I'm actually going to meet those people, because I'm not necessarily so social. Mm-hmm. And what would you say to those people would be a way to almost not guarantee or manufacture, but like tips and things to do or things to participate in or ways to sign up for things that would make it so that would be more approachable or accessible for somebody like that?
I actually like to say that because I'm not like you. I mean, it's hard for me to talk to a stranger. Hey, what do you do? And what are you working on? It's made me feel myself weird. So, but I think once you made the investment, go into the festival, you're kind of like, since I'm already here, I got to make some connections. Otherwise, so maybe that is the other angle of looking at it. So since I'm flying to Sundance, I go to Cannes. So since I'm here, I better make some new friends. And I think maybe that's how I getting more used to talking to new friends. So that's my experience, and it worked.
Nice.
I have a point on that as well, and I feel good about this one, so I'm going to go with it. We're talking about like you're introverted, you're an introverted introvert, and you're being asked to go to a festival. Start with a festival in your town. Yeah. Start with a small festival in your city. My friends from Cinema Femme are right here. This is in Chicago. This would be a perfect example. Go to Cinema Femme in Chicago and meet some folks, because there won't be 70,000 people there. That's a good thing, right? There's going to be screenings with 50, 60 people there, and they'll do a little hang afterwards, and that's how you can meet people. Let's be real. If you don't like big crowds and you don't want to be really social, don't go to South by.
Yep.
Don't go to South by.
But if you love cowboy hats, go to South by.
If you're like, I'm not really social and I don't like jumping into big groups and talking to a lot, don't go to South by, because it's just not you know.
I have an answer to that too.
Oh yeah, great.
Get involved with the film crew, or like doing interviews.
Oh, volunteer for a festival,
Or
right?
volunteer,
Work with,
right.
Get a press pass, do
Have
interviews.
a role.
Yeah.
That's actually how I started in festivals, is I volunteered at the Boston Sci-Fi Film Festival while we were in school, and that festival has been around this year 52. It started at the Orson Welles in Cambridge by Harvard, and that festival curates a group of people that, when I tell you, have all the exact same interest, they do. And you walk in and you feel really at home. So going back to what you're saying, also maybe find a genre festival that you really like, so you can talk and communicate with people that have the same interests.
What are the films that you like?
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm not very social, but I love film. I'm a cinephile. Okay, what films
So
do you like?
if you like
Go
comedy
there.
and not sci-fi, maybe don't go to the sci-fi festival in your area.
Right.
Go to something that's screening happy-go-lucky things that you can maybe find interest in, or see if the crew is hiring for, I don't know, press passes or anything like that, because if I didn't do that, I would never have met Brynne.
Tyler started as a volunteer and is now the assistant director, by the way.
Very cool.
I also volunteered at TIFF more than 10 years ago, and working in the forum panel, and then you meet a lot of people, and then you got inspired. If they can do it, I can. So that's really
so true.
Yeah.
And then I just always remember, half the people here are just as stressed out as you are. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's the other thing to remember. You see all these people and they're laughing and they're talking. Half of them are like stressed out of their mind. You know, they're stressed out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this is a great example. This isn't 70,000 people. This isn't chaos and mayhem. This is 50 folks. So please make sure you say hi to somebody on the way out, because now you have a shared experience. That's always the thing. That's the beauty of a film festival, right? I always tell my friends that are like, Mike, you're really outgoing, but I don't really. I'm like, everyone here loves films. Just go up to someone and ask them what film they've seen, or just be like, hey, are you a filmmaker? Oh, you're not? Okay, great. Well, we'll talk anyway. But more than likely, you're like, yeah, I'm a filmmaker. Just talk for a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So if you put pressure on yourself, like I'm going to Sundance because I'm going to meet the head of CAA and they're going to buy my, you know what I mean? Or I'm going to go and I'm going to talk to Gersh and they're going to rip my, or I'm going to go and I'm going to, talk to so-and-so. Wonderful. Cinema Femme. Go check out Cinema Femme on Chicago. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just have meaningful conversations with people and it'll keep things moving.
I want to add two things to that. I mean, I know personally, I know you guys also know even different people in the room, but I know personally there are programmers, there are people in press, there are people who are making amazing films, there are people who are investing in films, all in this room that I see with my eyes right now.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that I think each of those titles are people that almost every single person in this room would probably want to associate with and know more and just be real people with.
Yeah.
And the other thing, goodness, it'll come to me.
Do you want to open it up to them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, because I think part of what's funny, one of the questions that came up was, that was on the next part of the list, was do you think it's worth it to come to a film festival if you don't have a film, which we've answered like 30,000 times.
Yes.
They say yes. They say yes. I would say maybe. Maybe. Because it needs to be a festival that is going to have, that has some people at it that you want to hang out with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even if your film is in the festival, I'm just going to be real for a second. All right, there's some film festivals that, if you live in Chicago, it might not be worth you flying to Seattle for a particular film festival. It might not be worth you flying to Florida and spending $2,000 on hotels and a plane and stuff, right? So the one thing that Stephen mentioned earlier is talk to other people that have been to that festival and see what they have to say. Especially now with Bestie, I'm talking to people all the time. And the thing I always ask them when they say, oh, I had a good time at that festival, I go, how many people showed up to your screening? Were the screenings well attended? So it's a maybe. So even if you have a film in the festival, it's not always worth attending. And again, my email is heyfestiebestie@gmail. If you're like, hey Mike, what do you think? Just email me. I'll do my best. If you're like, I don't know who to ask about these festivals, I'll do my best. But one last quick thing. I posted a video to that Patreon that I feel there are 3 festivals, and of course there are more, but there are 3 festivals that I think are worth attending even if you don't have a film in the festival. One is Sundance, the other one is Cannes, and I'm talking like paying for a plane and flying. I'm not talking about like drive 30 minutes to go to Holly Shorts, and Holly Shorts is an amazing festival. So Sundance, Cannes, and then the third one is Palm Springs Short Fest, which is in Palm Springs, in June. If you don't have a film in that festival, I would say go anyway, because there's a big hotel, the Renaissance, right over here. everybody's hanging out in the hotel, and there's panels, it's a huge community building, and then there's a theater complex across the street with like 6 theaters, and everyone's hanging out there and just watching shorts, and you just go back and forth, back and forth. So just to give you that, Sundance, Cannes, and Palm Springs Short Fest, I would fly across the country to go to, even if I don't have a film in the fest. So just give me some love.
I have had such a fun time hearing what you have to say, because I think there is this intersection of education and conversation and real curated analysis of the festival landscape, and also having that integrated with technology that I think we need right now. We need a better system to figure these things out without having to have the knowledge needs to be democratized.
100%.
It needs to be democratized, because the fact that right now the only way to get that information is by talking to festival programmers and, festival consultants. I'm looking at Nancy here, Nancy Collette, she's also an amazing consultant as well. But it would be better to have those hospitality features that we're discussing right now, like whether a festival is going to have these parties or have panels and Q&As or fly you out or have hotel hosting and all of those things. We put that forward facing on Hiike, because it is important to set your goals, understand what a festival has to offer to you before you submit. And it really is bridging the gap between the conversation and the knowledge, and someone who's so experienced in the landscape to someone who's a first timer who does not know what they're doing when they are submitting and feels very lost. It's an opaque landscape that needs a lot of help, because it's my belief that film festivals are the backbone of the independent film landscape. Independent film is being threatened. We have to do everything that we can to keep it alive and thriving, I just love that this conversation is a part of that.
So I think this is a good route to do. I have 2 last questions, and then we will open it up a little bit. We'll try and go quickly through these last few.
Okay.
One of them being, how do you recommend people, once they're at the festival, you've made your way to one of these big 3 that Mike talked about, that might be some of the bigger activations. And
those are my big 3, just so we're straight. Those are you know what I mean? I'm just telling you my 3, but yes.
But yeah, like let's say you make your way to one of these bigger festivals that has a lot going on, Some of the smaller festivals, maybe there's not so many options, and maybe it's not quite as packed until 5-6 a.m. every single day. But let's say you're at one of these. How do you recommend people go about kind of thinking about their almost like the energy budget? How do you recommend going about even just picking what you do day to day, and trying to decide, hey, where is the value? Without being inauthentic, without being just trying to chase, so to speak, and really being present.
I think that's really hard for a lot of people to do. I mean, Brynne and I, last Wednesday, we went through like all of the events that were happening, and we kind of decided who was going to be at what event, like which ones were going to be the most important for us to go to. And if I showed you our schedule, you would think we were crazy. It was literally 4-5 pages long, so long, and we didn't go to half of them. We literally didn't even go to half of them, because the ones that we did go to, we found such value in, and I think that is really important for a lot of people to remember, that quality over quantity in these situations. Because if you're hitting a place and you're having a really amazing conversation, you're like, oh shoot, I have to go somewhere else, but you're in this conversation, this person can maybe help you, why would you leave? Why would you leave when you're in this beautiful conversation? I think we've really experienced that this week.
We didn't get to talk enough about actually going to the screenings in this conversation, but I was talking to Crystine earlier before we started this panel, and everyone needs to go see Josephine. Everyone needs to go see Josephine and go see it in person. There is something so impactful about in-person storytelling. I'll be very honest, there was so many points of that film that were so deeply uncomfortable and hard to sit through but having that shared experience in a room where you're unable to look away, you're not able to go look at your phone if you're feeling uncomfortable or turn it off, was insane. It was such an impactful film, and I'm so proud of you. It deserves everything.
Thank you. Yeah.
But going to screenings is great too. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, just if you watch Josephine, just be ready. Just let your heart be open and to be cracked. And so, and I think that's the like in a festival, just movie you want to see, there are after party you want to go, there are panels you want to come. Definitely choose wisely, and what are your goals, and quality definitely over quantity, because we all have our limited energy, I guess. So yeah, try to find out what you really want to do before you register those events, I would suggest.
Don't put too much pressure on it.
Yeah.
I would also say,
Okay.
just don't put too much pressure on yourself. And if you're choosing between festivals, I think that you want to go to festivals that have centralized locations, where, like I mentioned with Palm Springs Short Fest, everyone's here and then they're here. Do you know what I mean? There's another fest I love, Seattle International Film Festival is great, but they're a little more spread out, so you got to be kind of ready to move around. Tribeca is one. It's like I'm in New York City and there's a festival. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're just kind of, you can spend a lot of your time just trying to get around New York City. So I think if you really are like, I really want to, I'm here for 2 days, I really want to make the most of it, go to a festival where there's like a filmmaker's lounge and it's just a little more concentrated, a la Main Street.
Yeah, no, exactly. The amount of times that I have run into somebody that I have tried to schedule a meeting where both of our schedules just don't align for 2 months, and then I run into them on Main Street, and we're like, we have 15 minutes in between our next screening and our next thing, and it's so helpful. Yeah, and I do want to say on the note of screenings, I remember one of the first years I think the first year I came to Sundance, I was looking at a director that I wanted to possibly work with, and I was able to see he had a film that was in competition here, and I was able to see a version of the film that it was the Sundance cut version of it. It was not the cut that ended up getting out into public theatrical release. And if I wouldn't have woken up after going to an event that I was at until probably 4 a.m. and then made it to that like 7:50 screening, I would not have seen that version of it, and I probably never would have ever again, because I didn't go to any of the other festivals that it also had gone to. So intangible, like outside of that. The last question that I have is it's an important one that I think each of you will have a very different experience with. But how do you see the actual festival presence, festival circuit as a whole, playing into, let's even just say that the monetary kind of marketing strategy and aspects of a film's release strategy? From your perspective, I guess, what are the most important parts of that you've seen take place from a festival? Because a lot of these people, again, whether it's you're attending a festival as a person without a film in competition, or you actually have a film in competition, or 3 of them, you know, how does that ROI come back? How do you justify that? I think different people can have different opinions on that. Perspectives.
So on these 3, I don't know, but I feel positive. But I think with my past experience, I think it totally worth it. And I think going to a festival like Sundance, Cannes, my 3rd one is TIFF. One of the reasons is I also live in Toronto, and it's a very central location. It's easy to get to.
Yeah, and there's not just there's a bunch. I just like to three. And Toronto's wonderful. That's wonderful.
And so I feel it's you have all the buyers, as I said earlier. Everybody watching it together, they see the audience reaction, and if our films get good reviews, and we might be in a bidding war. So I think it definitely will bring additional value to have a film in a festival, and I hope in this festival we will have a good outcome.
So kind of a follow-up on that too. What are some things, because you do have a good amount of experience now with multiple films in multiple festivals, have you seen any things that you guys have maybe even spent a good amount of money or time or energy on that you thought would work out really well for you guys that didn't, or maybe conversely some things that you were surprised that actually ended up having a really, really big impact that you didn't even think about but came about from a festival in the past?
No, I think the results have been good. The only surprise I would say is after COVID, the decision making from the buyers takes longer time. And sometimes, I think in the past we see during the festival, they already secure a buyer. But right now, because I think buyers, corporations are cutting down budget, so not every executive of the acquisition team will make it to the festival. So after like 2 members in the team watch the film, they still need to get a screener link and have the whole team watching from in their home office. So I think the decision making is longer. So that I think that was a surprise after the from 2023. But I think now we are used to the waiting process.
Yeah. That's cool. So what about you guys?
Well, I would say with your festival run, one, you want to remember we're making films to share them with people, right? I think that's the thing I always, I talk to people like, well, I want to get my theatrical, well, I want to get bought, well, I want to get this, well, I want to get my agent, well, why'd you make the film? If you just made the film so you could get an agent, like, let's find some more efficient ways for you to get an agent, dude. Like that, that's it. If you don't have stories that are in your soul that you have to tell, filmmaking is not for you. Go do something else. If you don't have if you don't have stories you need to tell, then what, do you know what I mean? Like, and if you do, this is about people telling stories that you have personal connections to, that you have to get out of you. Do you know what I mean? It's not just so you can get an agent or so I can be a writer on a TV show, so you know what I mean? Like, you have this, film festivals are, an independent film is for people that have stories that are in their soul, that they're not seeing anywhere else, that they have to get out, so just remind you, part of going to the festivals is sharing that with those audiences, right? Sundance, okay, great, but then there's Bobby Jasper in California, then we're gonna go to Chicago Reel Shorts in Illinois, and then I'm gonna go to the Hole in the Head Film Festival in Michigan, that's the name of the real festival. Twin Cities in Minnesota. I mean, you're sharing it with each of those audiences. You're telling these you're creating these films so you can share them with people, right? Not just so you can be like, I'm great, or so do you know what I mean? So I think there's currency in that. If you're looking at, so just remember that if you're coming into film, independent film being like, because I want to make a lot of money on my films, it's like, man, go and get like your CPA, or go and like, honestly, my smartest friend ever got a pharmacy degree. It's a 5-year degree and you immediately start making money. Do that route, because this independent filming is for people that have stories to tell. So I think that's your main thing. And also, as you move your film from city to city and town to town, you're building your audience for a theatrical release. You're finding your advocates and your champions, so that when it does go into theaters, those folks are going to spread the word for you.
And for future releases,
Right.
and for the next time that you go back, and for the next short, and for your first feature, and your directorial debut, and for, it compounds so much. People in the festival world really don't forget.
There is a business model to it though, and I don't blame filmmakers for wanting to make their money back from their films. I think that that's a very real intention of navigating the festival circuit.
For sure, but if you're making a movie, because I want to get rich off of this film, I think that's 100%. That's a tough one.
That is a tough one, for sure. I just think that, this question is so heavy because wider distribution models are changing so fast right now. And I don't think that anyone really has the one concrete answer yet. I feel very blessed to be a part of the film tech community that is innovating right now. There's a lot of new technology that is replacing outdated technology, and it's a very exciting time to be a part of innovation, truthfully. But for films that are navigating the festival circuit, there's a truth that, you know, less than 10% of those films are securing wider distribution. And I mentioned self-distribution earlier, but self-distribution is becoming a more very real thing for filmmakers, getting really creative in ways that they are actually going to be able to get dollars back in their pockets. And I truly, truly believe that the festival circuit is a way to do so, even if it's just collecting that initial audience, so that when you do take it to an aggregator like FilmHub or BitMax, or go get a Tubi deal or something, which is harder than it sounds, but
Sounded kind of fun the way you put it. Go
yeah,
get a Tubi.
go get a Tubi deal. But you know, we have a lot of friends actually. I've had 3 friends in the last year.
I'll have a latte and a Tubi deal. I'm gonna get a latte and a Tubi deal.
I've had 3 friends in the past year that have gotten Tubi deals out of the festival circuit, though. So that, you know,
Absolutely.
it's pretty great. And yeah, don't knock festivals. They will help you reach your goals, and at the very least, help you get an audience for when you do navigate self-distribution.
One last tip, and then hopefully we'll go out to the
Yeah,
audience. It's also okay to go back to the festivals you screened at when you do release it, and you don't be like, hey, I screened my film here, so help me out. But it is okay to go back to them and say, hey, I just want to let you know, my feature's coming out May 15th. If there's anything you can do to kind of help me spread the word on your newsletter and social media. A lot of film festivals, there's another festival I work with, the Key West Film Festival, we're always promoting the films that we have screened back in November throughout the year. And it's perfectly okay for you to go back to that festival that you screened at, or the 15 that you screened at, and just ask them to help you out a little bit. It doesn't mean it's guaranteed it's going to be this, or that, but
Right.
just a lot of people don't think, oh, let me go back to those festivals, and if they can give me a little mention in the newsletter or a little social media boost, like, that has currency. So,
I think also one thing that is an interesting and very useful piece of information that I gathered, I think from this, but I've gathered over the years too, that a lot of people I think have a misnomer about, is that a lot of these festivals people think of as a little bit intimidating, not just as because they're really reputable, but a lot of people I think of festivals as kind of a little bit of a big bad wolf, and they're almost trying to gatekeep just the best, just the coolest, just the ones that have the biggest. But a lot of, like, all the film festivals, they're arts organizations.
Exactly.
They're non-profit arts organizations with people who, they're run by volunteers who just love this so much. And yeah, they're trying to protect the integrity and the respect of the filmmakers, but it's not people who are trying to actively gatekeep, which is an important thing that I think people need to hear. I do want to open it up to just a few questions, and then I do want to say just one last closing thing and see if you guys have anything else to say. But do we have any questions from, oh, you know what, the right in the back, that hand shot right up, yeah, white jacket. Yeah, I mean, you can come up.
we got you.
I was going to say one comment and then a question. The comment is, I'd say to people like, you wouldn't wait to go to Coachella until they're booking you on main stage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It's a festival to be like, you know, you want to come and like celebrate the art. The second question is, obviously you said the short thing. I'm actually based in the UK, but I've been here a few times. I actually haven't been to Cannes, so that's definitely one is. If there was 1 or 2 below, that's like S tier. 1 or 2 below, A tier for like going and collaborating, meeting people. And then you've got a bottom 3 where it's either sort of geographically prohibitive once you get there to get around, or you just close doors and they just don't have that spirit of collaboration meeting people. And the ones you say like, don't spend crazy money. Like don't go to this thing.
Is that for me? Here, you guys say a little too?
You go ahead.
Bottom 3 is a toughie, 'cause that's,
Yeah, really.
they're recording this.
You can email.
Well,
Yeah,
also-
we can talk
also,
afterwards.
I think a good answer for that, truthfully, I think goes back to an amazing thing that I think Mike said as well, which is talk to the people who have gone before.
Yep.
Because also I think the bottom 3 for some people are not the bottom 3 for others. Just really a good.
Go on r/film festivals as well.
Reddit.
Genuinely,
Oh, right.
if you're feeling sketchy about a festival, I guarantee there is a conversation on that Reddit about it.
Yep. A couple others though that I would attend. I'm not as well versed in the international ones. I will say there is one just outside of London called the Winchester Film Festival.
And
It's
these are the
an
ones
hour outside
that
of-
you would
that I would
attend.
attend.
Good.
That has a lot of good community building and is well attended. The Winchester, I would go attend that one. A couple in the U.S. that what I would attend. The Sunscreen Film Festival in St. Petersburg, Florida. I always tell Tony, who runs it, I'm like, Sunscreen Film, it's kind of a goofy name for a film festival, but it is a wonderful film festival. They have high attendance, especially if you live anywhere near Florida. There's a ton of Florida filmmakers that go there, so you can really build your network there. Julian Dubuque Film Festival in Dubuque, Iowa has really good filmmaker attendance, especially through the Midwest. So I'm kind of giving you a little bit there with that one. The Lighthouse International Film Festival in New Jersey. Mike, why are we going to New Jersey for a film festival? Tell me. Well, here's a good one. Their hospitality is very high. They're going to put you up. They have a lot of filmmaker attendance. Also, it's a 2-hour drive from New York. Why does that matter? Well, when they're showing a bunch of New York films, those New York filmmakers are driving up. So you actually get much better. I don't want to knock New Jersey, but I don't know of any filmmakers in New Jersey. You know, I mean, it's not about the New Jersey. It's not about tapping into the New Jersey film community. It's more like the New York filmmakers are driving up.
Yeah, you get all of it. You know,
Ones that I would push back on, that's a little tougher. Just the one that comes to mind though is Tribeca Film Festival is a wonderful festival, but you're in New York, and New York is a very complicated, busy city. So you have to be comfortable with having to really get around in a very busy city. And it's not like New York shuts down for the Tribeca Film Festival. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we're spoiled here, right? Like, we're here at Sundance, like the entire town is about our festival. There's, I feel like Tribeca is one that if you have a film in the fest, definitely go. But if you don't have a film in the fest, it's like, I feel like you're gonna spend a lot of your time trying to figure out, like, how do I just navigate New York? Do you know what I mean? And I think like that can make it pretty tough.
I was there for the first bit of Tribeca this year, and I accidentally walked into an event that was going on, and then I realized I was like, oh, I'm in an event, like this is a private penthouse thing that's going on, not part of the restaurant I'm trying to go to. And I was like, oh, it must be a Tribeca event because that's happening, and this is like the opening few nights of Tribeca, and it was literally an entire different industries, like main huge conference going on in New York.
That's Exhibit A for my point.
Yeah,
right?
no, exactly.
A lot of the people in New York don't even know the fest is happening. It's not a knock on it, but it's just, New York has a lot going on. Do you know what I'm saying? So,
Which is
it's
great.
not a knock
It's a
on
good
it. Just
energy,
if
but-
you're like, do I want to go? You've really got to be ready to navigate that.
Yeah.
Hope that helps. I'm happy to chat afterwards.
More questions? Cool. Tomorrow.
This is a question mostly for Crystine, because it's a filmmaker-focused question on when you introduced strategy of festivals, I imagine in pre-production, what kind of creative changes happen in terms of, ooh, I want this film to go to Sundance, so I'm going to do X, Y, Z. Like, what have you noticed has been affecting creative changes for the production?
Also, I'd love for Mike to answer this one too, as a program on the side of that.
Sure.
I think it did happen, and I think it does happen probably often. So one of the movies, I wouldn't name which one, we were planning on submitting it for Cannes last year. But when we watched the one cut in March last year, we know it's too long, it's not ready. So we decided to find another festival. So it does happen, but you're right. During pre-production, or even during when I'm reading a script, and we know we have a principal photography day, we kind of know, oh, I would like to submit a TIFF, I would like to submit a Sundance. So you kind of have a festival plan on your head, but sometimes plan doesn't go as you plan. So you just have to pivot and then figure out when you see the cut you are satisfied with, then you plan for the festival submission. But it does happen.
I think it's smart to figure out, I mean, if you have a couple wish list film festivals, I think it's okay to plan your production schedule so that you can submit them for those festivals. But just remember, that's just the first step of a long festival run, so we don't want that to, what's most important is that you make the best film you can and that you tell your story. So I'm a programming associate, so I'm a small piece of a very big puzzle with Sundance. So, but I'm seeing films of a very wide range. The number of not even close to finished work in progress cuts that get sent to Sundance is very surprising to me. Now, if your last 3 films were at Sundance and you're submitting them a work in progress screening, that's a totally different thing, right? Because Christine's probably in touch with Anna Souza or Kim Yutan. They're anticipating that work in progress, and they've also seen your other work. But if you haven't had a film at Sundance or Tribeca and you're submitting a work in progress screening because you're putting all this, or a work in progress screener because you're putting all this pressure on yourself, we've got to submit to Festival A or B or we're not succeeding, I would say let's pump the brakes. Let's know there are very good festivals all year round and take the time to finish your film and get it done, especially if you have a lot of VFX. If we're waiting for final sound and final color, okay, fine. But you know what I mean, that's okay. But the number that I've seen where they just post, there's like it says all over the place, like VFX pending, or now there's another scene coming up where she kills her husband, and I'm like, we kind of need to see that scene. You know what I mean? So, but just don't put too much pressure on yourself. Like, our production schedule is just so we can submit to this one festival, because the problem is then you're putting all of your validation and everything in the hands of this one festival. I hope that makes sense a little bit.
I totally agree, because it's a creative process, and art is not like a factory that you have production timeline. So I totally agree with what Mike said. And yes, we want to take it to Cannes, but it didn't happen. So we have to make it right and wait until it's ready. And also, I feel it's very helpful that you start to build relationship with the festival that you want to go to. And when you're starting to make the film, and sometimes when I'm thinking about making that film, I like to have a lunch or coffee and then share with them, hey, I'm thinking about, or I'm going to make a film like this. And so you don't need to ask questions, but sometimes you will hear some feedback that might be helpful for you.
We'll do one last question. Yes, sir.
I want to make a statement. My name is Darryl Mitchell. I did 7 years on NCIS New Orleans. I did 4 years on Fear the Walking Dead, and now I'm on Shifting Gears with Tim. I came here by default. I was invited by Reggie Hudlin. We did a movie 30 years ago called House Party.
Oh,
screening it here.
And
yes.
Legend.
And I asked him, I said, dude, I want to come. Because I always wanted to go to Sundance. I needed Bestie a long time ago. I needed Hiike.
I hear that a lot.
Because I only thought you could be here by invite.
No.
I didn't have the education. So when that happened, well, I got here and I met so many, because in my heart, I've been working, but I want to do films. I got stories I want to tell. And I said, I don't have a dog in the fight, but I want to be here to meet people. From the ground up, and just started, and man, this has been the most fulfilling experience. I've been in this for 40 years. This has been one of the most fulfilling experiences of my life, and I'm so glad I have my son here to explain, because he's been outside. I'm like, man, I've been outside. This thing is, he said, dude, I swear to God, man, yeah. You're going to get an email from me, bro.
Email us too.
Yeah.
But I have one comment to that. I just want to, the whole week Brynne and I have been pinching ourselves because we feel the exact same way as you. Because it's just a magical experience, and I think at any festival you experience that, but here it's a very, very special place.
And one last thing. We're only here for one night, and I said, if I'm going, I'm going to make a run of it. So we just came out like 3-4 days ago, and man, we just been going, and I'm just like meeting people and talking and sharing contacts and information, and I'm like, I want to fund films as well as make my own films.
Be careful saying you want to fund films.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna be
It's beautiful to say. It's just a joke. There we go. Just trying to protect you a little bit.
So
It'd be like I missed my next 6 meetings because they wouldn't let me leave the 11th hour. But I will tell you, there's 2 guys behind you, Will and Jonathan, who are wonderful filmmakers. You've got a cinematographer on your right-hand shoulder. That's Jody right there. The man in front of you at your 10 o'clock, that's Rich. He's an outstanding lawyer. He's got you covered so you don't get sued. Tamar's an outstanding writer right there. So and then my buddy Devin Gulati in the back is a young up-and-coming producer. So I just want you all to know, if you walked in here being like, I want to start shooting a film and I don't know what to do, I just gave you like half your crew. And we know who we're casting as the lead. We know who we're casting.
Well, I'm blessed because I work on the set and I got everything at my disposal.
That's it.
Being here, just just be here from the ground up. You know what I mean? I just wanted to say, let me get at the ground up, and man, it just filled me up, bro. It filled me up. Thank you.
I love that. Thank you for sharing.
I just wanted to say, well, 1 shout out or 3 shout outs of this. Real tangible actionable items here. Sign up for Hiike. Just
HIIKE.com. You can email us at Brynne or Tyler at Hiike.com.
so accessible, such an amazing platform. Sign up for Festie Bestie. It's a couple of bucks a month on your Patreon, and
It's
it's
a couple of bucks.
helpful.
I actually put up a special just for this week, so it's $1. Okay,
Insane.
guys, it's $1. I'm only doing it because I'm like, I just want people to be able to sign up for it. So and you get access to all of my videos on my inside. And even if you don't have $1, I totally understand. You can email me at heyfestiebestie@gmail.com. I will respond. So I have your back. I'm a filmmaker as well. I've been through this for the last 20 years, and I have lessons that I've learned. And so I just want everyone to have a successful festival run.
I think I'm not even submitting for festivals right now, but I signed up for it a while back, and it is so helpful, and it's an enriching kind of source of information. The last thing I want to say is go watch Josephine, go watch Bedford Park, go watch
Gail Daughtry as a celebrity sex past. So funny. Thank you.
If you can find a ticket.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
So go watch the 3 films. These are our amazing panelists. I do want to actually take a video of this, but everyone give it up for our 3 panelists here. They have been so amazing today.